man conducting his nightly watch around his neighborhood captured the following footage. Everything appeared completely normal at first, just another quiet evening, until something in the distance brought him to a sudden halt. He spotted something unusual near one of the homes and quickly pulled out his camera to document it.
Hey! Ese jalan na deh. Naik ka nih. Oh, Allahu Akbar. Sama nih. Indit. Indit, tong didinya. Allahu Akbar, ayo kan nih. Astagfirullah. Kalau lembut di mana? Sia, ha? Allahu Akbar, ya Allah. Astagfirullah. Indit mah. Keganggu batur. Geus lain alam na deui. Allahu Akbar. Kumaha ieu? Allah, lawan iklan HP dia teh. Aduh. Allah, lawan iklan HP. Adik-adiknya gitu mah. Video mah kita.
The footage shows a woman with long, disheveled hair dressed in white, moving at an eerily slow pace toward the front yard of the house. Her appearance matched almost exactly the ghostly figure that locals in the area had long been describing. The sight sent an immediate wave of dread through the man, as he'd come face to face with something unsettlingly similar on a previous occasion somewhere else. Despite his fear, his curiosity pushed him to move closer for a better view, but the recording abruptly ends shortly after, and what happened next remains a complete mystery. Late at night, around 1 a.m., a man was making his way on foot to his brother's place somewhere in Mexico, when he found himself traveling along a stretch of road with a deeply unsettling reputation. According to local legend, a young girl had died tragically somewhere along that very route. As he walked, he pulled out his phone and started filming, recounting the dark stories attached to that particular road. Then, right in the middle of explaining the haunting, something stopped him cold.
Buenas noches, oigan, fíjense que vine a visitar aquí a un hermano. Dicen que aquí, miren, les voy a mostrar. Parecer aquí anda una morrilla, que anda una niña aquí en este baldío que supuestamente mataron hace muchos años, pero resulta que, hijo de su puta madre, ¿qué es eso? Pero, no mami, no.
Moving along the dimly lit road, he suddenly spotted a small girl standing perfectly still under a tree just ahead of him. Shock and terror washed over him as he struggled to process what he was looking at. Not knowing what to make of it, he slowly began to retreat. So was this the restless spirit of the girl rumored to haunt that road? Or could there be another explanation? That's for you to decide. The woman was at home alone with her kids one evening when something unsettling began to unfold around her.
Just heard a really loud noise down here, and all of the kids are upstairs. Rocky's at work.
Worried about what was going on, she picked up her phone and headed downstairs to investigate.
Nothing's out of place, though.
She moved cautiously through the house, going from room to check that everything was as it should be.
Oh shit. Did Did you guys just hear that door move? Okay, there's gotta be...
Then out of nowhere, a door flew open and slammed shut on its own. That was the moment the fear really took hold.
Maybe I'm just tripping. I don't even know. I don't even know, bro.
Even though she was terrified, she forced herself to walk over and take a closer look. She pulled the door open, fully expecting to find someone standing there, but the space was completely empty.
I just want to... That was just upstairs in my room. This is the teddy bear I caught at the Elvis show. How did it... I have some explaining to do. Going back to bed.
Just as she thought things couldn't get any weirder, something else stopped her dead in her tracks. A teddy bear that she had left upstairs in her bedroom was now sitting perfectly on top of the gas cooker in the kitchen.
This is the teddy bear I caught at the Elvis show. How did it...
With no rational explanation for any of it, she decided she had had more than enough for one night. Still rattled by everything she had witnessed, she abandoned her search for answers and returned to bed. I first encountered this footage back in 2013, stumbling across it completely by chance while scrolling through my Facebook feed. Later on, while digging through research for one of my own projects, I came across it a second time, and it's just as unsettling now as it was then. The clip was originally posted to an obscure corner of the internet by an anonymous individual based in Serbia, and at some point someone else shared it to Facebook, along with the very same caption. According to that caption, and the description left by the person who filmed it, he lived in a home nestled near the mountains and had been repeatedly disturbed by strange, piercing sounds in the night. Eventually, he made the decision to head up into the mountains himself and track down whatever was making that noise. He grabbed his camera and went looking for answers. What that camera recorded next was something that seems to belong to an entirely different realm. Pay close attention to what unfolds.
Ne znam da ste vidli, ili mislim možda što sam sam ovde, kao da mi se učinilo, ne znam da ste vidli, molim vas zavratite, ništa se ne vidi. Ništa ne vidim i dalje.
When he reached the summit, he found an unusual pillar standing alone up there. At first, apart from the heavy, stormy atmosphere hanging over everything, nothing seemed particularly out of the ordinary. Then, without warning, the dark silhouettes of two enormous figures began to take shape on either side of that pillar. Within moments, it became impossible to ignore how closely these shapes resembled angels. Based on the description accompanying the footage, the man had absolutely no idea anything like this was happening at that location. He insists he captured genuine angels in the middle of some kind of ritual. Even from an estimated distance of around 100 to 120 meters, these figures appeared absolutely enormous. The ancient stories surrounding angels, long written off as nothing more than legend, might not be so far-fetched after all. It's possible that angels have been coming down to Earth on a regular basis for specific purposes, consistently choosing isolated, uninhabited places far from human eyes. And yet, according to this man, he managed to catch them in the act. Some viewers have put forward a compelling theory that angels have visited Earth throughout history to preserve a kind of global balance and pass hidden messages along to those in positions of power, and that idea only deepens the mystery surrounding this footage. But then there's the question of that pillar itself. Could it be connected to the mysterious monoliths that have been turning up in random locations all over the world, objects for which plenty of verified photographs already exist? If that connection holds up, then yet another theory starts to gain traction, that every time one of these monoliths appears, it marks the beginning of some significant shift or upheaval in the world. Did this Serbian man genuinely film angels on a mountaintop? Or does something else entirely explain what we're seeing here? Drop your theories down in the comments. Click on any of the videos on your screen to keep going and uncover even more unsettling discoveries. That wraps things up for today. Keep pushing further into the unknown. Thanks for watching. Daughter's Room. This next clip was recently shared by a mom named Misty, who found herself seriously disturbed after her baby monitor picked up something she couldn't explain. The monitor shows her youngest daughter lying quietly in her crib, barely stirring, yet the device keeps registering heavy movement throughout the room. To make things stranger, her older daughter had already moved into a separate bedroom of her own.
We still have a ton of work to do. Her closet is still completely full with all of her decor.
That older daughter has her own space, so no one else should be in there, which makes it all the more baffling that the monitor won't stop triggering. After repeatedly pulling up the footage trying to make sense of it, she finally sits down one night and sees something that stops her cold. If you look carefully at the unsettling recording, a figure of some kind is visible on the top bunk, swaying slowly back and forth and seemingly staring down at the little girl sleeping below. Yet no one else was supposed to be in that room. Her older daughter was in her own bedroom, so whatever is up on that bunk has no business being there. Since this happened, Misty hasn't been able to come up with any explanation, and after so many viewers asked her to show the room itself, she films a walkthrough, and that's when something completely unexpected occurs.
About the room situation, so I'm going to run that through real quick. We moved my daughter from this room into this room. She got new furniture. That's why the bunk bed is still in there. This is the attic that's in between the rooms that I was talking about that's cracked. It's been that way for a while, so it's not something that I'm overly concerned about, but y'all have got me freaking out in the comments. I cannot even breathe walking in this room, so I am truly terrified, but I'm going to walk y'all in here real quick. This is the bunk bed. This is where I took her out of her crib, ran up the bunk bed. There was nothing up there when I came. We have her rocking chair, her changing station, her closet with all of the stuff that we still need to put up. This is where I have everything that was gifted. I know a lot of y'all were saying check stuff that came from a thrift store or that wasn't yours because it might be causing it. I will show you guys up here. There's nothing suspicious. There's no hair from like a rat or something that could have came in. This is marker. These are still tucked in on the sides, like they're still tight from, you know, if somebody was trying to be underneath the blankets. I don't think that's plausible. So I don't know. I have no idea what could be causing it.
A rocking chair sitting in the corner of the room starts moving on its own, and as she enters, it's clear there's no one else present who could have set it off. She goes through every rational explanation she can think of and still comes up empty. Convinced something is very wrong with that room, she moves her daughter out and locks the door behind her. Not long after, her husband returns home from a work trip and decides to take a look up in the attic.
No one's going in there anytime. Here is the cracked
attic. It's been that way for some time now. It's been about 2 years that it's been like that, so I'm not overly concerned. That's the first thing I told my wife is it's not that big of a deal. It's how it's been. But anywho, we're gonna check it out. Give her a look around. I was indeed scared last night. Okay. All right, we're good. That scared me a little bit. I was scared last night, not gonna lie, being home alone. But it was a smooth night. I was so exhausted. I slept very good. I didn't wake up to any weird stuff. Attic looks fine. Does not feel good in here. It is very hot. But I don't see any animal droppings or anything weird. Definitely not a person up here. Time to shut this baby down for good.
It's sealed off. Watch how this unfolds. First, a liquor bottle comes into frame, and then as he slowly pans the camera around, multiple viewers flagged what appears to be a figure lurking in the corner of the attic. Now, it could be pareidolia at play, worth keeping in mind, but he has since screwed the attic hatch completely shut. Even with her baby relocated to a different room and the attic sealed off, Misty has continued getting constant sound alerts from that locked bedroom. Then, a few days on, while she's folding laundry, her camera captures something even harder to rationalize.
And the loudest sound comes from the back of the living room. It's like boom, 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 boom. And I run outside, and this is what is all over my yard right now.
In a scene that feels pulled straight from a horror film, a large flock of birds suddenly crashes into and around her house, blanketing her yard, an image that has long been considered a dark omen. Shortly after, her parents come over to help empty out the room and clear the closet, where they uncover a collection of books dating back to 1882, complete with strange markings and a handwritten note that no one can decipher. Whether any of this connects to what first appeared on that baby monitor is still unknown, but until Misty comes forward with more answers, this one stays firmly in the unsolved column. Paranormal explorer from France, known on TikTok as Paranormal Holman, has built quite a following by venturing into derelict buildings and abandoned properties. He typically streams these unsettling expeditions live on YouTube, letting his audience experience every moment as it unfolds. In this particular footage, he and his partner are conducting an investigation inside a deeply eerie abandoned house. To try and gather some evidence, they've positioned a motion-activated bear in one of the doorways, along with a music box they insist operates without any kind of remote control. What their camera ends up documenting, though, is genuinely difficult to brush off.
Ici, est-ce que vous pouvez vous rapprocher à cette petite jouet qui est par terre, ou m'ouvrir cette boîte à musique? L'une des deux.
Oh.
Parfait. Vous pouvez m'ouvrir cette petite boîte, s'il vous plaît, dans ce cas-là? Est-ce que vous pouvez le faire, s'il vous plaît? Edgar. La dinguerie.
Là, il est en train de jouer avec les deux.
Rapprochez-vous à cette jouet. Ah tiens, il n'y avait même pas besoin que je le dise. Abusé, mec.
Je me demande c'est qui.
Oh putain.
Non, c'est ça.
Oh la dinguerie. Tiens, y a rien et y a personne. Tiens.
The two investigators start by calling out to whatever spirits may inhabit the house, asking them to either trigger the music box or pass in front of the motion detector. Almost immediately after the request is made, the motion sensor fires off, suggesting something invisible has just crossed right in front of it. Then, when they specifically ask the entity to open the music box, you can watch the lid slowly rise all the way up on its own, with nobody anywhere near it. Now, it's worth acknowledging that a hidden remote could theoretically explain that part, but what follows is considerably harder to account for. As the motion sensor keeps triggering, the device is suddenly and violently dragged back into the darkened room behind it. The investigators sprint in to find out what pulled it, only to discover the space is completely empty. So what exactly is haunting this forsaken house? A restless spirit that didn't appreciate the intrusion? Or is this all just an elaborate setup staged by the investigators themselves? These next clips come from a man named Derek, who lives in Jacksonville, Florida, on a property spanning over 300 acres of swampland. Land he says was once used as a native burial ground. His channel is normally dedicated to politics, philosophy, and general life topics, with nothing even close to the paranormal. But recently, he began uploading footage of disturbing things taking place around his home. Initially, he suspected it might be a trespasser. Then one night, while he was out on his porch, looking in on his chickens, something happened that shook him to his core.
I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, help me. Hold on. Hold on.
Hey. Help. I need help. Eric.
You can clearly hear a voice calling out to him from somewhere deep in the tree line. He scans the area trying to pinpoint the source, but there's nobody out there. Visibly rattled, he retreats inside and locks up behind him. The following morning, he decides to venture back out and investigate the exact spot where the voice seemed to come from. And here's what unfolded.
So we are out here exactly where everybody said this thing was standing. This is the spot right here. Directly this spot. There's the track. I see no footprints. So this is the exact spot right here, guys. Chickens, hear the chickens in the background. So I don't know. This is in this area right here is where it was standing. Is where everybody said it was standing. I couldn't see it while standing just about over there. There we go. And so we keep this stuff like this locked. We keep stuff like this locked because, like I said, crackheads. Let's check to make sure it's locked. Door's locked. This is the trailer that I was worried about. Don't fucking see that, bro? Look, I'm telling you, bro. What the fuck? Okay, we're just gonna peek in.
He lingers outside for a bit, debating whether he should arm himself before going any further, clearly uncertain about what might be waiting for him. Eventually, though, he makes up his mind and steps in to take a look.
There's fucking walking around in this motherfucker, bro. Hello? Guess we're gonna have to climb in this motherfucker. Probably should have brought my gun. Hello?
When he finally gets in there, the place is completely empty, and somehow, that's the most unsettling part of all. Later, he went online and shared more details about the history of his property. Here's what he had to say.
300 acres of swampland. Just a little background for everybody. 300 acres of swampland. We bought it for a penny an acre from the paper mill that was here back in the 1800s. The paper mill stole it from the Native Americans. Everything that everything is built around out here is on top of Indian burial ground. So I'm not the only one to have had this experience. Other people have had these experiences. You could just talk to the local people here in Dinsmore. They've had the same experiences out here. In fact, it's so bad. Police officers will draw straws or argue about who has to come down here when something happens. My family used to be crazy. Used a lot of drinking, drug use, and, you know, just abuse and stuff like that. So cops would be out here all the time, but they would not come on the property. They will only meet you.
So where do you stand on this? Is something genuinely supernatural going on out there on his land? Or is there a rational explanation that could account for all of it? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. One afternoon, or maybe it was morning, they were in something of a daze. A group out enjoying a peaceful walk through the woods noticed something unusual in the distance beneath the trees. Curious, they moved in closer, only to discover it was coming from a sprawling abandoned house hidden deep within the forest. Feeling bold, they cautiously ventured inside to have a look around, but it wasn't long before they ran into something that sent them sprinting straight back out in terror.
Whoa. Going in there?
I went in there.
There was plenty to take in beyond the crumbling walls and debris scattered across the floor. But as Rose wandered further into the house and peered out through a nearby window, late one night, a man named Ethan was reviewing footage from a security camera mounted near his driveway. The shot covered a parked truck, a quiet stretch of road, and a line of trees lit up by a dim street light. Everything looked completely ordinary at first, until Ethan spotted something that stopped him cold. See for yourself what he found.
Stop sign on the left or on the right-hand side. It materializes. There's the head and shoulders.
The person
walking down the road, turns and walks up the road and disappears behind the f***ing tree.
A humanoid shape materializes close to a roadside sign. The figure appears almost translucent, drifting across the road before suddenly shifting direction and disappearing behind a tree. What makes it strange is that it never comes out the other side. No obvious fade, no camera artifact, nothing to suggest a technical malfunction. Some people watching the clip think it's probably a trick of the lens or some kind of optical illusion, while others are convinced it looks like a restless spirit caught reliving a moment from its past. Either way, no one has managed to come up with a satisfying explanation for what Ethan's camera recorded that night. Security cameras are installed to deter criminal activity. Every so often, however, they wind up documenting the exact kind of event they were designed to stop. On a morning in Oklahoma City, a street-facing camera recorded what looked like a completely unremarkable scene. A man in a wheelchair was making his way across the road at a calm, steady pace. Traffic flowed as expected, and those nearby went about their business without a second thought. Then a second individual entered the shot. Investigators would later identify him as Alexander Emery, who had been moving away from the intersection before abruptly reversing direction. Rather than continuing on his original path, he walked straight toward the man in the wheelchair. Initially, nothing about the interaction raised any obvious alarm. According to investigators, Emery appeared to ignite something he had on him. Moments later, he hurled it. The device burst into flames on contact, and the victim suddenly found himself engulfed. As the man attempted to escape, investigators say the situation deteriorated rapidly. Authorities allege that Emery charged at the victim and shoved the wheelchair back into the flames. The force of it knocked the man out of his chair, leaving him stranded until those in the immediate area reached him. The whole thing played out in just a handful of seconds. Then attention shifted away from the attack itself and toward those who saw it happen. A vehicle passing by screeched to a halt. Two occupants jumped out and sprinted toward the victim without stopping to assess whether the danger had passed. And at nearly the same moment, detectives who happened to already be near Oklahoma City Police Headquarters rushed out into the street. Officers and bystanders worked together to pull the victim clear of the threat, while another officer moved quickly to apprehend the suspect before anyone else could be put in harm's way. The location made the whole episode even more striking. This took place directly in front of the city's police headquarters, a building where officers and emergency resources were mere seconds away. Even still, everything unfolded so rapidly that most people nearby hadn't yet processed what they were watching before it was essentially over. When investigators searched Emery following his arrest, they uncovered a deeply unsettling detail. According to the incident report, he was allegedly found carrying a second incendiary device. Authorities have not disclosed what his intentions were, but the discovery left serious questions about what the outcome might have been had officers taken even a little longer to respond. Investigators also say the confrontation may have been sparked by the briefest of exchanges. According to those looking into the case, Emery allegedly said to the victim, "Don't talk to me," just before the attack began. Officials have not indicated whether the two had any prior connection. The victim was transported to a nearby hospital, where he was treated for injuries described by officials as minor. Given what he endured, many considered that outcome remarkably fortunate. Emery now faces several felony charges, among them assault with intent to kill and assault, and battery with a deadly weapon. As the case proceeds through the courts, investigators are expected to lean heavily on the surveillance footage, which documented nearly every moment of the incident. The video is hard to sit through, not because it dwells on anything graphic, but because it lays bare just how fast an unremarkable morning can spiral into a crisis. It also captures something worth noting. Within seconds, total strangers and nearby officers ran towards someone they had never encountered before, making split-second choices that very likely kept the situation from ending far worse. A French man named Maison had no background in paranormal investigation until one unexpected discovery completely altered the course of his life. He recently came into possession of a home that had been suddenly abandoned by a family some years prior. Their departure was so rushed that countless personal items were left scattered throughout the property. Maison's original plan was simply to put the house on the market, but strange occurrences quickly began to change his mind. Items were shifting positions without explanation, and dark, shadowy figures started showing up in his recordings. Determined to get to the bottom of it, he installed cameras throughout the entire house to monitor things around the clock. In this particular footage, he says he finally got a clear look at the very presence that sent that family fleeing in the first place. If you direct your attention to the attic entrance, you can make out a figure descending down into the hallway below. Whatever this thing is, it looks nothing like anything human. Its eyes emit a bright glow against the darkness, and its facial features appear severely warped. The way it moves defies anything natural, and just before the clip ends, the entity glides effortlessly back up through the attic opening, as if it was never there. Maison says that ever since this moment was recorded, the paranormal events inside that house have only been escalating with each passing day. What you're about to see was filmed inside a private clinic in Argentina, known as Sanatorio Finocchieto. At roughly 3:30 in the morning, the facility's surveillance system picked up something deeply unsettling. The front entrance swung open on its own, as though an unseen figure had just stepped through. A moment passed, and then the door drifted shut again behind this invisible arrival. A security guard stationed at the front desk immediately got to his feet and greeted whoever had just come in, someone that only he seemed able to perceive. He reached for his clipboard, requested a name, and proceeded to log it into the visitor register. After a brief exchange, the guard gestured down the corridor and escorted the apparent patient further into the building. He even went so far as to offer them a wheelchair. The whole interaction looked completely routine, aside from one chilling detail. No one else ever showed up on the footage. When staff later reviewed the register, they were left stunned. The name that had been written down belonged to a former patient, one who had passed away in that exact hospital just days before. During a grueling shift at this hospital, the staff were already dealing with one of the most heartbreaking situations their profession can bring. A patient had lost their life earlier that same day. As the doctors and nurses moved through the hallways and past the door to that particular room, they couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. They chalked it up to grief and stress messing with their heads, but eventually, that uneasy feeling became impossible to dismiss because it started manifesting in ways they could actually see.
I don't see none. And it's just all it does is that. Huh? She gonna slam it on you.
We looking at a ghost, Miss Cece?
That's all it does. All by itself.
Oh, I just got dizzy, and I don't know why. Hate that feeling.
According to whoever uploaded this footage, the operating room door can only be triggered open using a button, and every single member of staff was certain the room was completely empty at the time. So what exactly was going on? Had the patient's spirit made itself known so soon after passing? Was she attempting to leave the room she had died in? Or could there be a more rational explanation? Some kind of electrical fault causing the door to malfunction? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We turn now to TikTok, where a user going by DarkSecret37 stumbled upon something that shook her to her core. She was out at a park, taking photos of her kids when she spotted something wrapped around one of her child's legs, something she will never be able to get out of her head. As she records her children running around and having fun, a hand can be seen clutching her child's leg, appearing as if out of thin air. What makes this story even more chilling is that the child had absolutely no idea it was happening. They felt nothing whatsoever, and yet there it is, plain as day. The mother wastes no time circling around the tree to see if anyone is hiding there, but she comes up completely empty. No person, no explanation, no trace of that hand anywhere. So what do you make of this? How do you even begin to explain something like that? Let me know what you think. He was by himself. Then something absolutely terrifying unfolded. The videos you're about to see recently exploded across social media platforms. A KFC location in Ecuador has apparently been the site of some deeply unsettling and frightening events. According to staff members at the restaurant, strange and disturbing things tend to occur during the early morning hours while they're getting the place ready for the day's customers. In the first piece of footage, one of the employees can be seen going about their cleaning duties, and then this is what happened next. Later on that same day, a separate security camera elsewhere inside the restaurant recorded this. A large number of people are convinced that what's shown in these clips is completely genuine and not some kind of setup. So much so that television networks across Ecuador actually broadcast the footage and covered the story. The word going around is that this restaurant is haunted. Residing deep in a densely forested area has a way of making strange occurrences feel even more unsettling. That's precisely the situation for one man living with his family out in the thick of the woods, who reached for his phone after noticing his dog locked in an unblinking stare toward the sky. The animal was absolutely transfixed on something up above.
God, I need help. I got home 2 hours ago, and there's a limb just floating in the air. I've been all over Google. I can't figure out for the life of me what the hell is going on. It's just, hold on. It's just floating there. As far as I zoom in on. Like, what the? I need help. Look at it. I ain't making nothing up.
The moment he angles the camera in that same direction, he manages to capture what looks like a tree branch just floating there in the open air.
For about 6 months now. For the past 2 weeks, some weird things have been happening in our son's room. So I wasn't gonna record, but I came here to feed the cats. We have 2 cats. So I came over to feed them, and I noticed that in his room, my son's room back here, there's one of my cats, I can hear his toy being played. And it was not on before. It is playing right now. And I don't know why it's playing right now. I didn't leave it on. But even if I did leave it on, like, I'll turn it off. Even if I did turn it on, it wouldn't automatically play. You'd have to, even if I brush over the keys, it doesn't really go. So you'd have to really press the button and make it go. And it was not on, and it turned on, and I could hear it. And that's why I started recording. And now that I'm looking around, I was like, there's stuff knocked over. There's plants knocked over, fake plants knocked over. There's books on the ground. The wipes are on the floor. I don't know what is going on. And there is no one here. I'm here by myself. There's nothing here. Did you see that? Am I insane? Am I insane? Someone just walked by the window. And I will go out there and show you that no one is here. This door is locked. This is the door you're just looking at. This door is locked. There's nothing out here. Nothing out here. There's a closet door. This is also locked. I don't think we've ever opened that door. It's always been locked. Just the weirdest things are happening.
Toy suddenly switches on without anyone touching it, and as Joey scans the room, a mysterious shadow can be spotted drifting past the balcony window. He steps outside to prove there's nobody there, and no place a person could conceal themselves. This window sits on a sealed balcony, a full 12 feet above the ground. There's simply no realistic way someone could have scaled up, crossed in front of that glass, and vanished before Joey made it outside. Later that same night, a motion alert from the nanny cam in his son's bedroom pings Joey's phone. He pulls up the live feed and can't believe what he's seeing.
Really closely. The rocking chair starts to move. It's in the corner. You can see it's very slight, but you can see the shadow kind of moving. It's rocking on its own. There's no one there. Everyone is at my mom's house right now. Everyone's at my mom's house. And then the wipes fly off the dresser. And then the hamper. The baby's hamper falls over. Like, what is going on?
A rocking chair tucked in the corner of the little boy's room starts swaying on its own, as though an invisible figure has settled into it. Then a pack of baby wipes launches itself off the dresser, and a hamper topples to the floor. Joey has revealed that the family already has plans to relocate to a different apartment, and in the meantime, they've packed up and moved in with his mother. You decide. A TikTok user going by Geiger Counter posted a short clip after noticing something odd in the footage she'd filmed. She says she had just walked out of the women's restroom, and as far as she can recall, nobody was behind her at that point. On the surface, the video looks like a completely unremarkable moment in what seems to be a cinema hallway, but when she watched it back, she spotted something in the corridor that left her both confused and genuinely disturbed. Here's what her camera picked up. For most of the footage, everything seems completely normal. Kahia films herself, flashes a smile, and keeps moving through the hallway. But for just a split second, the camera swings around far enough to show the corridor stretching out behind her, and that's when things get strange. Pay very close attention to what comes next. At the far end of the hallway, a figure appears to be standing in the distance. It's only visible for a couple of seconds, but it genuinely looks like someone is there, oriented in her direction. Now, there's every chance it was simply another person moving through the building, but Kahia insists she has no memory of anyone being behind her after she exited the restroom, and that's exactly what makes this so hard to shake. Maybe it really was just some random person passing by, and Kahia simply didn't register them at the time. But if she truly was alone after leaving that restroom, then who exactly was standing at the far end of that corridor behind her? Was it just another visitor inside the building? Or did her camera catch something that was never meant to be seen? Over on TikTok, a creator going by the Black Orchid Films uploaded a video back in June of 2026 where he describes how he was lounging on his couch one afternoon, about to settle in and watch some television. What should have been a completely unremarkable moment took a sharp turn toward the bizarre when something in the TV screen's reflection caught his eye.
Am I tripping or is that? There's someone sitting on my couch, but like, there's no one there. What? But like, there's no one there. There's no one on the couch.
As you can see that for yourself, that reflection clearly shows a dark, human-shaped silhouette seated on the couch right beside him. He spins around immediately to see what's there, only to find the couch entirely vacant. But here's where things get even more unsettling. After panning to show the empty couch, he turns his attention back to the screen, and the figure has completely disappeared. In the video's description, the uploader wrote, quote, "The house is old, located in Appalachia, with the creaks and shadows typical of older homes." That afternoon, light and the angle of the TV screen created a clear reflective surface. Still, the reflection looked like more than a trick of light. Its timing and placement felt deliberate and out of place in an empty space. End quote. The most obvious counter-argument is that the whole thing was set up beforehand. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot of room for alternative explanations, given how clearly the shape appears in the reflection before vanishing the moment he looks back. Staged or not, this is exactly the sort of footage that'll have you hitting replay just to make sure you saw what you think you saw. So what's your take on what was lurking in that TV screen? Was something actually sharing that couch with him? Or is there a more rational explanation? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Jennifer spent her final days as a devoted caregiver to her aging mother as she neared the end of her life. When her mother passed on March 23rd, 2020, the family decided to go back through the footage from a security camera that had been set up in her room. What they discovered, captured just a few days before her passing, raised far more questions than it answered.
Okay.
Shortly after midnight, the quiet is interrupted by what seems to be a gentle whisper uttering the word, "Come." The elderly woman slowly lifts her hands and softly responds, "Okay." Then a second faint voice appears, seemingly saying, "Mama."
Okay.
Jennifer thinks it may be the voice of her sister, who died back in 2017. Within just a few days of that recording, her mother was gone, too. Was it nothing more than a strange coincidence, or did that camera manage to capture something far beyond explanation? The following video was recorded by a family stepping into their new house for the very first time. The father is holding the camera, slowly documenting their first walk through the home as the rest of the family heads inside ahead of him. Everything appeared perfectly ordinary until viewers noticed something that was out of place. Watch.
Okay. Got everybody here. Heading on into the new house for the first time. They said go. Yeah. See how scary? It's kind of scary, actually. Oh, look at all this stuff. Dollhouse for you, Salo. Go. Okay. This kitchen's pretty nice.
Ready? I'm ready to go out with Mom.
Go close the door.
If you focus on the mirror by your right, you'll notice what looks like a dark, human-shaped shadow standing directly behind him. The unsettling part is that it can't be one of his daughters. By the time the reflection appears, both girls have already walked past the mirror and are standing farther inside the house. There shouldn't be anyone behind him. But what many viewers found even more disturbing wasn't the shadow. It was the youngest girl. Without anyone prompting her, she repeatedly says, "Scary," over and over again. Some dismissed it as exactly what children do in unfamiliar places. New houses can feel intimidating, especially when they're empty, dimly lit, and full of echoes. Others believe moments like this deserve a closer look. As for the mirror itself, mirrors have long occupied a unique place in supernatural folklore. Some traditions describe them as symbolic thresholds or reflective surfaces where unexplained figures are more likely to appear, while others view them simply as objects capable of creating convincing visual illusions under low lighting. Whether the shadow was a trick of perspective, a reflection the family didn't notice, or something that greeted them before they even unpacked. One detail remains difficult to ignore. Before anyone mentioned seeing a figure, the little girl had already decided there was something about that house she didn't like. The following video was recorded by a man living in what can only be described as a house full of unsettling objects. Mannequins in the hallway, antique dolls, vintage horror movie posters, and at the center of it all, a Victorian dollhouse sitting in his sister's room that he says he genuinely cannot bring himself to look at for too long. He walks through the space at night, narrating as he goes, and you can hear in his voice that this isn't performance, it's discomfort. He's been hearing tapping sounds late at night, specifically when he passes that room on the way to the bathroom, and according to him, the sound stops the moment he enters, except for one night about 3 nights prior, when it kept going. He walked in, tried to find the source, and traced it directly to the dollhouse itself. Watch.
Okay, so the other thing that really creeps me out, that I do not like, but I will show you guys, is in my sister's old room, or I guess still room. Dollhouse. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say that has happened with it is sometimes when I walk by, or like I go, the bathroom's back there, and I walk through and I hear like tapping coming from this room. It's like it's like yeah, it's like I know it's coming from like this room, and so I come in here, and then it usually stops, except for like maybe 3 nights ago. Like the tapping kept happening, and I came over and I was trying to figure out like where it was coming from, but it was coming from this dollhouse, and I don't know where. And it hasn't done it since. Like, why is it so intricate? It's like, I don't know. Freaks me out. I'm not showing you guys this again, so take one last look. Yeah. Fuck that thing.
Toward the end of the recording, some viewers also claimed they could hear what sounded like a faint young girl's voice buried beneath the audio. Whether it's genuine audio pareidolia or simply background noise is impossible to say, but combined with the tapping, it only added to the unease. Some viewers also pointed to the collection of dolls visible throughout the house. In parts of West Africa and the Caribbean, handcrafted dolls have historically been associated, rightly or wrongly, with folk magic and spiritual practices. While most are simply decorative or cultural artifacts, their appearance often fuels speculation whenever they're seen alongside alleged paranormal activity. But according to the family, the dollhouse wasn't the only thing making them uneasy. Watch.
Grandson, this is my daughter, Lady Mary Talk.
Oh, everyone's going.
You, as the rest of us, are on the Riviera, but I hope you enjoy it. I went over to America 10 years ago to try my luck, and I've been there ever since. They call us the Hollywood Ride.
But you never stop playing. You know that.
Last time I was there.
Heavy footsteps echo from somewhere inside the house, the kind of impact that sounds as though someone has just put their full weight onto a wooden floor. But there's no visible cause. Nothing falls, nothing moves, nothing in the wide-angle security footage gives her or anyone watching any kind of answer. So what exactly hit that hard? From inside a house, with no one else apparently there, you decide. Now in this next clip, a man who works at what appears to be an industrial facility decided to stay late one night. Not because he had to, but because something about the place kept pulling him back. He'd already noticed things before this recording. His radio had been jumping with static, which he says is usually a sign that something is close, and the temperature in the break room had dropped noticeably enough to stop him in his tracks. He's wearing work gloves, holding his camera, and his voice is raspy and low as he moves through a long fluorescent-lit hallway and into one of the facility's break rooms, a cluttered industrial space with metal lockers, stainless steel countertops, and trash bags piled against the walls. He admits out loud that he's nervous. He can feel something in there with him, and then he notices his Apple Watch.
Whoa. Shit. Just saw my Apple move. Just saw him move. Oh. What do you want? Who are you? Ooh. What does this mean? What do you want? Why are you playing games? Why did you attack me the other day? What do you want?
First the apple, then the cup begins moving by itself, while he continues trying to communicate with whatever he believes is around him. To paranormal investigators, this sequence is particularly intriguing because the movement appears to follow direct interaction. In many alleged haunting cases, investigators believe that attempting communication can sometimes trigger a response, especially if the reported activity is associated with an intelligent haunting rather than a residual one. Objects moving shortly after questions are asked are often interpreted as attempts at non-verbal communication, with some researchers suggesting that small, lightweight items are easier for an alleged entity to manipulate than larger objects. Another detail, often mentioned in paranormal circles, is the combination of experiences leading up to the movements. Sudden cold spots, unexplained radio interference, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched are among the most commonly reported claims preceding alleged physical manifestations, although none have been scientifically shown to indicate paranormal activity. But viewers who believe something unusual happened focus on one thing. The apple moves, he starts talking, then the cup moves too. Whether that was a coincidence or something responding to the conversation is exactly what keeps this clip open to debate. This next video comes from a man who says something got into his shed while he was away, and whatever it was, it didn't just leave quietly. He's been filming himself outside at night, shaky camera pointed upward into dark tree branches, voice already strained before he's even made it through the door. According to him, he'd noticed something off when he first pulled up, and by the time he walked inside, what he found had him spiraling. Watch. The CCTV footage shows the shed door closed. Then, across a 5-second gap in the recording, it's sitting open by several inches with nothing on camera to explain it. No figure, no gust, no visible contact. And when he finally walks in and turns the light on, the shed is ransacked. Tools, clothing, and a power sander thrown into disorder. But what frightened him most wasn't the mess. It was what happened when he went back inside for a closer look. Watch. If you look closely, you'll notice what appears to be a pale face peering from inside the shed. Some viewers dismissed it as pareidolia, the brain's tendency to see faces in random shapes, especially in dark, cluttered environments. Others weren't convinced. Across paranormal folklore, one of the most commonly reported experiences is the peeking apparition, an alleged entity that reveals only part of its face from behind a doorway, corner, or object before disappearing again. Paranormal researchers often describe these brief appearances as observational behavior, claiming the figure seems more interested in watching than interacting directly. Whether that's what this camera captured, or whether the face is nothing more than shadow and coincidence. One unsettling question remains: if something really was hiding inside that shed, what was it waiting for him to do next? This next video was recorded by a man filming from what appears to be his backyard at night, a dark, scrub-covered hillside stretching out in front of him. And from the very beginning, something on that hillside has already caught his attention. He's been insisting that whatever this is, it's been following him, not just to one location, but everywhere he goes. And standing there in the dark, camera in hand, you can hear in his voice that he's well past the point of brushing it off. Watch.
I can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the? I can't make this shit up, bro. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the is that? Jesus. Jesus Christ, no. Jesus Christ, no. What? I can't make this shit up, bro.
Out on that hillside, a bright glowing orb sits completely still at first, white-yellow on the outside, but with a distinct purple or violet core pulsing inside it. As he zooms in, that inner light shifts shape, momentarily forming something almost structured, almost like a letter or symbol, before the whole thing begins sliding horizontally to the left, leaving a faint trail behind it. And then, just like that, it vanishes. The hillside goes dark. His reaction says everything, stunned silence, then a rising panic he can barely keep together. Some viewers immediately thought of ball lightning, a rare atmospheric phenomenon that can produce glowing, drifting orbs. But ball lightning doesn't typically hold a distinct internal color or leave shaped impressions. Others pointed to UAP sightings, noting that the pulsing purple core and horizontal drift are consistent with characteristics reported in several well-documented cases. What do you think was on that hillside? This next video was recorded at around 11:30 at night by a woman who had just gotten home and noticed something immediately off. Her bathroom light was on inside the house, even though she was almost certain she'd left it off. She went in, switched it off herself, watched some TV, and thought nothing more of it. Then she stepped outside to check the mail. That's when she stopped. Something made her turn back toward the house and pull out her phone. Watch.
Need to show you what's actually happening right now. Like, this is so creepy. I have no idea. Oh, it stopped. It's been... Like, nobody is in my house, and that should not be happening. And no one believes me when I tell them this kind of stuff.
The bathroom window, visible from the driveway, flickers on, then off, then on again, then dark, with no one inside operating the switch. She's standing right there in the driveway, in the pitch black, telling you directly, nobody is home, and that light should not be doing that. But many viewers noticed something even stranger than the light itself. If you look closely at the window, there appears to be the faint outline of what looks like a young girl standing motionless, facing directly toward the woman filming. The shape doesn't seem to move, it simply watches. Reports of flickering lights are among the most commonly described experiences in alleged hauntings, though faulty wiring, loose switches, and electrical fluctuations remain far more common explanations. The apparent figure in the window has sparked even more debate. Some believe it's nothing more than reflections on the glass or pareidolia, the brain interpreting shadows and patterns as a human face. Others compare it to reports of window watchers, a recurring motif in paranormal accounts where an unexplained figure is said to silently observe people from inside a home without ever approaching. Whether rooted in folklore or coincidence, these reports often describe the figure as remaining perfectly still, creating the unsettling impression that it's watching rather than trying to be seen. So was the flickering light simply an electrical fault? Did the changing light create the illusion of a face? Or was someone or something standing behind that window after all? That's the question this footage leaves unanswered. The following video was recorded by a man in Virginia who'd been noticing strange things happening inside his shed. Strange enough that he set up a Ring security camera in there to try to catch something on film. The shed itself is cluttered with tools, old boxes, and years of accumulated junk. The kind of space that's easy to ignore until it starts ignoring you back. The camera is mounted high in a corner, looking down over the whole room, and on the afternoon of April 19th of 2026, at around 4:26 p.m., nobody is inside. Nobody visible, anyway. A door at the back of the room is closed, the floor is still, and then it isn't. Watch.
Man, look at this.
What unfolds over the next few minutes is one of the densest collections of unexplained activity caught on a single static camera in recent memory. A door swinging open on its own, loud thuds and heavy dragging sounds filling the room with no visible source. A ball rolling out of the open doorway and stopping dead. A wooden shelf crashing to the floor, and then, most disturbingly, being lifted back up and out of frame against gravity. And then there's the music. Old-fashioned, tinny, with a female vocalist. Faint at first, then growing steadily louder, as though something is physically walking it closer to the camera's microphone. Right up until a sharp pop is heard, and something lets out a high-pitched cry of pain. When the man-eed enters the shed to investigate, you can hear how shaken he is, breathing heavy, voice cracking, yelling into the dark attic above him, and getting nothing back. What he finds up there doesn't answer anything. Broken nameplates reading Mr. and Mrs. Ronald J. with the surname snapped clean off, a shattered Rolex-style watch, shot glasses etched with the logo of Sweetbriar College, a women's-only institution here in Virginia, all of it belonging to someone else, someone whose connection to this shed he can't explain. Many viewers think what's captured here is classic poltergeist behavior, not a haunting tied to a location so much as an intelligence that interacts with physical objects, creates sound, and seems capable of responding to the presence of a camera. Poltergeist activity in paranormal research is often described as kinetic, loud, and escalating, the kind of presence that doesn't hide but performs. Others think the objects found in the attic matter more than the activity itself, that whoever Ronald J. was, something tied to him, or to whoever he shared that nameplate with, hasn't fully left the space. The shelf being lifted back up is the detail that's hardest to walk away from. Things fall, that's physics, but whatever pulled that shelf back up wasn't working with gravity, it was working against it. So what exactly is living in that shed with him, and does it know he's looking? Now, in this next clip, a group of friends decide to explore the darker parts of the building they're staying in at 4:15 in the morning. What starts as a casual, laughing walkthrough of a dark office space slowly shifts into something far more unsettling. The man filming leads his two friends through room after room, trying locked doors, peering into a cluttered storage area, and eventually unlatching a back door that opens into complete darkness outside. The mood is still light. They're joking, whispering, shining a phone flashlight into corners until they saw something terrifying. Watch.
May pitu, may pagi. May pagi, may pitu, may kita tengok, may kita tengok. Buka lampu, Pi, buka lampu, Pi. Nak guguk, babi. Buka lampu. Mari sini, Pi. Macam ada orang tu. Allah, lampu pula tutup. Ya babi tu. Bodoh, ni tinggal aku ke bodoh? Macam babi tinggal aku. Lampu tutup pula. Ruang kekang, ruang jiluan, ruang kekang. Bodoh. Bimbang. Diam. Tak pasal pipi. Diam. Ya. Dok orang tu. Dok sini gelak dia. Allah Akbar. Bodoh. Ya Allah. Bodoh. Babi gugah ya Allah. Allahu Akbar.
If you look closely, there's a figure, and according to the guys, it's a pokong. Near the edge of the darkness, a pale figure can briefly be seen motionless in the background. The group immediately reacts, and according to the men filming, what they saw was a pokong, a ghost from Indonesian and Malay folklore, believed to be the spirit of a dead person trapped inside their burial shroud. In traditional beliefs, the body of the deceased is wrapped tightly in white cloth before burial, with bindings around the head, neck, and feet. Legends claim that if the soul is unable to move on, the spirit may return in the same wrapped form. unable to walk normally and often described as hopping or appearing stiff and motionless in dark places. Reports of Pocong sightings are especially common near abandoned buildings, graveyards, and isolated roads late at night. Some viewers believe the figure was simply a person standing outside in the darkness. Others are convinced the reaction from the group was too immediate and genuine to be staged. But for those familiar with the legend of the Pocong, the clip taps into a fear that has existed for generations. The following clip was recorded inside what appears to be a private collection room, floor-to-ceiling wooden shelves packed with hundreds of clown dolls, figurines, and ceramic pieces. A human-sized clown seated in a chair in the background, holding two smaller ones on its lap. The woman filming walks through the space calmly at first, taking it all in, until something just off-camera stops her cold. Watch.
Might do that. Are you a textual? Well, thank you. You see that?
She freezes mid-step, her expression shifting from neutral to wide-eyed shock, and she raises her palm outward like she's bracing against something invisible. Collections like this, especially ones centered around objects with human-like features, such as dolls or figurines, have long been tied to unsettling theories in paranormal folklore. Across multiple cultures, objects that resemble the human form are believed to act as vessels, not necessarily because something is placed into them intentionally, but because their likeness creates what some traditions describe as a spiritual anchor, something that makes it easier for unseen entities to attach themselves or manifest through them. Clown figures in particular tend to amplify that discomfort, not because of anything inherently supernatural about clowns themselves, but because their exaggerated expressions create a disconnect between emotion and appearance. Smiles that don't feel natural, eyes that seem fixed yet aware, making it easier for the human mind to interpret subtle changes as something more. The following video was recorded during a live stream session out of Columbiana, Alabama, in September of 2019, when three men were in the middle of a casual conversation about haunted artifacts, specifically about a trip one of them had taken to the Afterlife Museum in West Virginia, a place known for housing objects with dark histories. On the table in front of them sat two vintage baby dolls, brought out as part of the discussion. Nothing about the setup seemed alarming. The man on the right, joining remotely via video call, was mid-sentence describing what he'd seen at the museum. Death masks, haunted dolls, the kind of objects people warn you not to bring home. Watch.
Death mask. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they kept the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah.
What happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it. Because I thought it was my eyes.
I didn't really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Screen. I didn't see. I missed it. Hey, I was just trying to see the head kind of wobble like it was trying to turn.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought brothers were playing with me.
Joe, you want to take that one home with you?
As long as it's temporary. They had death masks. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they kept the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah.
What happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
And we're going to build a museum on it.
That'll be cool.
It's going to be a haunted museum and a Bigfoot museum, artifacts, and, you know, for storytelling and that kind of stuff.
Right. I had recently went up to West Virginia to the, what was it called? The Afterlife Museum. The Archive of the Afterlife Museum. That place was really interesting. They had all kinds of dolls that were haunted, were supposedly haunted. They had death masks. They actually had a the cap they would put on death row inmates when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre, and I thought, yeah.
What happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
I didn't really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
The head of the dolls were slowly moving. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the man on the call admits he noticed the movement 20 seconds earlier and chose to ignore it, telling himself it was his eyes playing tricks. Both men react simultaneously and independently, which is exactly the kind of detail skeptics struggle to explain away. Some believe objects that have passed through environments like the Afterlife Museum can carry residual energy, absorbing something from the people and places they've been around. Others think the doll may have been responding to the conversation itself. If you watch the replay closely, you'll notice the right doll also shifts slightly at the same moment. So what exactly set it off? The following video was recorded on a home security camera set up in a living area, looking down a dark hallway toward a closed white door. The house appears quiet, no one moving, no lights on, nothing out of the ordinary by any visible measure. And then, fairly early in the footage, something changes. Watch. Some viewers think the figure is a camera artifact, a long exposure glitch layered over the original feed. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the object moving independently happens in the same footage, and that kind of pairing, a visual apparition followed by physical movement, is something that keeps showing up in home security cases like this one. Whether the movements in this clip were caused by vibration, an unseen draft, a camera illusion, or something else entirely remains unclear. But moments like this are exactly why ordinary security footage so often ends up at the center of paranormal debates online. Now, in this next clip, a man wakes up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps on his basement stairs. Not once, not twice, but over and over for nearly 10 minutes straight. What makes this especially unsettling is that he thought it was over. Earlier that week, he'd visited a cemetery, and after that, every bit of activity in his home had gone completely quiet. He believed whatever had been following him had returned to where it came from. He was wrong. So he grabs his flashlight and starts moving through the dark house, narrating as he goes, clearly shaken. Watch.
Alright, so I was woken up this morning to the sound of walking up and down my basement stairs again. It was over and over and over for probably 10 minutes straight. He was just walking up and down the basement stairs. Now, this is the first any type of activity I've had in the last week. Now, I opened the cemetery up on Monday, and since then I've had absolutely no activity here at home. So I thought that whatever followed me, or whatever it was, returned to the cemetery, and that was it. But like I said, I woke up to, the back door's locked, all the windows are locked. Stairs again.
While he's mid-sentence, a loud crash cuts him off. A green shaker bottle now on the kitchen floor, with no one near it. He picks it up, hands unsteady, breathing heavy, and just says, "I don't know," over and over. You can hear the defeat in his voice. Some believe this is classic poltergeist behavior, objects displaced by an unseen force as a direct response to the witness's presence. Others think whatever came back from that cemetery didn't come alone. But what do you think? The following clip was recorded by a man somewhere in Carrollsville, late at night and in the middle of a heavy rainstorm. He's parked in his Jeep outside a building near a gas station when something across the street stops him cold. According to him, whatever it was had already been there when he first noticed it. Pale and vaguely humanoid, standing in the rain near the pumps. He gets out of the car, which, honestly, most people would never do. And the moment he does, something shifts. The temperature of the whole situation changes. Watch.
Oh my God.
What the f do you want? Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone, please.
That figure in white, standing across the road in the dark and the rain, doesn't move the way anything should. And then the sound starts. A high-pitched, wavering wail that doesn't match any emergency siren, any car alarm, anything you'd expect to hear outside a gas station at night. He screams at it, pleads with it, and eventually scrambles back into the Jeep just to get away. What makes this harder to dismiss is the final glance in his side mirror before he speeds off. The figure is now under the carport he just left, and it appears to be contorting. Some viewers familiar with Carroll County's long history of documented hauntings have pointed out that the region around Carrollsville has carried paranormal folklore for generations. Others focused on those sounds, that unnatural, layered wail, and suggested it's consistent with what some researchers call an intelligent haunting, where a presence doesn't just appear, but actively communicates through sound and proximity. Skeptics think the figure is a person in a raincoat, and the sounds are distorted road noise bleeding through the recording. But that doesn't explain why it followed him. Where exactly did it go? The following video was recorded inside a quiet room one afternoon, with daylight pressing through the blinds and everything looking perfectly still until this happens. The small knob on that cabinet jiggles, briefly, sharply, like something tried to pull it open. According to the owner, this occurred shortly after purchasing an antique mirror from an estate sale and bringing it into the home. The mirror had originally come from an old property clearance, with no known history attached to it. In the days that followed, subtle disturbances were reported around the house, but nothing was captured on camera until this moment. Some viewers suggest a simple explanation: settling wood, internal pressure in the cabinet, or a hidden mechanism like a loose string or latch reacting off-camera. But others point out what makes the clip unsettling is not just the movement itself, but the absence of anything visible causing it. There is no one in frame, no interaction, no follow-through, just a single, isolated motion, and then stillness again. Moral of the story, as the owner later put it, be careful what you bring into your home from estate sales, garage sales, or thrift stores, because sometimes what seems like a simple object can come with more than just history attached to it. The following video series documents what a family claims has been an escalating sequence of paranormal activity inside their home, beginning with something their young son kept trying to tell them, and which they, like most parents would, initially dismissed. The boy had been mentioning someone named Jerry for a while, a name that didn't belong to anyone in the household, and the family assumed it was the kind of invisible friend children invent and eventually forget. Then the security camera caught something that made that explanation a lot harder to hold on to. Watch.
I don't see something.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
What is it, Mama?
It's Billy.
Where?
It's right here, next to the gun. It's next to the gun.
What you see is the boy mid-play, suddenly freezing completely still, rigid, alert, visibly frightened, staring at a point off to the right of the frame where nothing visible to the camera exists. He stays that way for several seconds before running to wake his father, and the moment the man is up, the child points directly at that same spot, insisting something is there. The father investigates and finds nothing.
Green Goblin. The Venom.
No one believed him. That detail matters, because children under 5 are frequently cited in paranormal research as more perceptive to presences that adults can't detect. Some believe it's because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they sense. Others think entities like Jerry, which would traditionally fall under the category of an attachment, a presence that fixates on a specific person in the home, often a child, actively choose younger witnesses precisely because they're more likely to be dismissed. The next morning, the family was going about a completely normal start to the day. The woman washing dishes in the kitchen, the man waiting to refill a container, the boy sitting on the sofa watching a movie. Nothing about it felt unusual. Watch closely.
What? Maggots, houseflies के जो worms जो आते हैं ना, 2 हैं। इधर है ना? Maggots, not worms. Come and see ना, कितना टाइम लगा रही हो? Take on that bitch.
Pick up your puzzle after cleaning fast. Remove the puzzle.
What?
Maru clean ko. Bahar niकले नहीं तो.
What?
चलो fast.
There's a lot of cheating.
Just remove everything I need to mop. एक झाड़ू करो एक mop करो. Nothing. Later I will tell you. I want clean house.
It's a maggot. Why are you scared? Babes, बच्चा तुमको देख के सीखता है. ड्रामा मत करो.
मुझे रोज से डर लगता है. मुझे नहीं पसंद worms.
A small blue toy on the floor rocks forward and then backward on its own with no one near it. The man is several feet away, and the movement has no obvious cause. It's brief, maybe 2 seconds, but it's distinct. Skeptics would point to vibration from footsteps or an uneven floor, and that's a reasonable argument on its own. But set against what the child had been reacting to the night before, a lot of viewers see this as confirmation that whatever was in that room wasn't done making itself known. Small object movements are one of the most commonly reported early signs of poltergeist-adjacent activity. Not the dramatic, furniture-flinging kind, but a quieter presence testing the space, learning the room. The family says they ignored this too. Things didn't stay quiet. Weeks later, after friends, both Christian and Muslim, suggested playing the Lord's Prayer and Ayatul Kursi to clear the apartment of whatever negative energy had taken hold. The family did exactly that, and according to them, what followed was immediate and deeply disturbing. Listen closely. The man and woman are discovered moving through the apartment in visible distress, searching the floor, bending down, the woman pressing her hand to her mouth in what sounds like genuine panic, her voice high and alarmed, while her husband speaks in a calmer, measured tone, trying to keep her composed so the boy doesn't pick up on her fear. They reportedly found close to 33 maggots appearing throughout the apartment with no traceable source, no rotting food, no entry point, no explanation for where they came from. In certain religious traditions, a sudden and unexplained infestation following a spiritual cleansing is interpreted not as the evil leaving, but as it reacting, a sign that something present in the space was disturbed by the prayers and pushed back. The timing here is what keeps this from being easily explained away. Maggots require a food source and time to develop, and finding them throughout the home within hours of playing those recordings, with no origin point discovered, sits uncomfortably outside what a simple pest problem usually looks like. The woman, we're told, has a phobia of worms, which makes her panic understandable on its own. But the man's calm, systematic search suggests he wasn't dismissing it either. Whatever Jerry is, and whatever has been moving through this apartment, it doesn't seem to be fading. It seems to be escalating. What do you make of that pattern? Now in this next clip, two young women are sitting together at a large wooden dining table late at night, candles lit, a handmade Ouija board laid out in front of them, just a piece of paper with letters written across it, and a small, dark object serving as the planchette. No names have been given, so we'll just call them the dark-haired woman and the blonde. They're speaking throughout in what sounds like Swedish or Norwegian. Their voice is calm at first, focused, asking questions with their fingers resting lightly on the planchette as it drifts slowly across the paper. Then something shifts. Watch.
Ta ned på god dagen. Det er ikke vits i det går ikke. Åh, shit! Kødder du nå? Ok, vet du hva? Nå kan jeg få gå hjem, eller? Du kan ikke gå hjem? Nei, jeg tør ikke å gå hjem. Jeg tør ikke å gå nå. Eller det fletsa seg. Ta det bort, da. Ta det bort, sånn her. Jeg tør ikke å ha det her nå. Hva sier? Ja, men dere, nå faen, nå er jo han, nå er ånden her, da. Nå må dere... Ja, velkommen etter av banen. Tenk hvis han kommer og tar meg, da. Fy faen, jeg sitter alene. Faen, og så sitter vi i vinduet også. Hallo, hva skal vi si nå? Jeg fortsetter ikke nå. Jo, kom igjen, da. Jeg fortsetter, jeg er ikke kjempegøy. Kan dere følge meg hjem, eller? Det er sant. Ja. Jeg skulle aldri vært med på dette, vet du. Det kommer seriøst sånne lysglimt foran skjermen, altså. Det er dritkult. Nå trodde jeg døra åpnet seg. den driten i jo.
At first, nothing unusual seems to happen. The movement slows, then stops completely. The women pause and laugh nervously, trying to dismiss the moment, before resetting their hands and placing their fingers back on the board to try again. Some believe that's where things begin to shift. Paranormal researchers who study Ouija activity often caution that participants are supposed to formally close a session before stopping, typically by saying a closing phrase such as "goodbye," to signal that communication has ended. Without that, some believe the session remains open, leaving continued interaction more unpredictable. On their second attempt, the atmosphere appears to change. The glass on the table begins to move unexpectedly, sliding in a way that doesn't match their earlier control of the board. The reaction is immediate: hesitation, uncertainty, and a brief pause as they realize something feels different this time. But they continue anyway, and to many viewers, that decision stands out. Paranormal investigators often warn that continuing after an unusual or unsettling response can intensify the experience, as repeated engagement is believed by some to signal continued contact rather than closure. Whether the movement was coincidence, subtle manipulation, or something else entirely is never made clear in the footage. But what remains consistent is the sense that whatever began during that first session did not fully end when they stopped the first time. This next video was recorded on a Ring doorbell camera at a home the filmer and his partner had purchased from an elderly couple, and at the time it was captured, the two of them were over 100 miles away. The previous owners had been married for 76 years, and according to the filmer, the husband collapsed in the front yard one afternoon while cutting the grass and died on the way to the hospital. So the house had been empty, locked up, with no one inside. And yet, the Ring app sent an alert. Listen closely.
We were over 100 miles away when we heard our Ring doorbell sound, and we were super shocked to listen to the sound. Just wait for it. Sounds like the door is opening, and then there's a voice. We purchased the home from a couple that was married for 76 years. The husband collapsed in the front yard cutting the grass and died on the way to the hospital. I think this is him or his spirit trying to get in and find his wife. It's amazing to be married that long and have...
What you hear first is a sharp, distinct click, the kind of sound a door latch makes when it's being turned from the inside. Then, almost immediately after, a long, low, heavily distorted vocalization bleeds through, drawn out and garbled, like a voice that's been slowed down beyond recognition. The filmer believes it's the husband, still trying to come home and find his wife. That interpretation is hard to shake, honestly, especially when you consider the wedding photograph he shares at the end. A couple posed on a grand staircase, married 76 years, and now separated by something no door can open or close. Skeptics would point to audio buffer corruption as a likely explanation for the distortion, but that click comes first, and it sounds deliberate. This next clip centers on a teenager who, in what looks like a completely darkened room, decided to use a homemade Ouija board, the kind scrawled out by hand on white paper with orange marker, letters and numbers laid out just like any board you'd find in a store. There's no elaborate setup here, no candles, no group of friends crowded around it, just one boy, sitting cross-legged on the floor, a single beam of light trained on the board, and an inverted glass or polished stone acting as the planchette. He rubs his hands together, places one flat on the planchette, and waits. Watch.
I'm here at Grant's house. We're doing a Ouija board session in his basement. Okay, to start off, we're going to do one circle around the board to give any entities power. Are there any spirits with us here tonight? How many spirits are in the room with us? Sorry guys, I'm shaking a little bit. I didn't expect this to work. What is the name of the spirit that is with us? Zozo. What is the name of the second spirit that is with us? Mama? Mama is the name of the second spirit that is with us. Zozo. Zozo. God, dude. What was that? What the heck was that? We need to end the session right now. Okay, to end the session, we go goodbye. So, goodbye. Dude, what the heck was that?
Oh my god.
We need to get out of here.
Oh
my god!
Oh my god! Oh! Get out of here! What the heck is that?
Within the first 20 seconds, the planchette slides toward yes, and then, slowly and deliberately, begins to spell out BYE, letter by letter, before the session devolves into wide, sweeping arcs across the board. Then, at around a minute and a half in, the camera is violently thrown or dropped, the light beam whipping wildly across the floor before the screen whites out entirely. What makes this harder to dismiss is the sequence itself. Many who've studied Ouija sessions point out that goodbye appearing early in a session, unprompted, is widely considered one of the more unsettling responses, interpreted in some traditions as a spirit refusing further contact, or worse, something signaling it's done communicating and ready to act. The ideomotor effect explains involuntary hand movement, sure, but it doesn't explain what sent that camera across the room. You decide what ended that session so abruptly. Now, in this next clip, a man films himself walking through his home late at night after hearing a noise coming from the kitchen. He explains to the camera, speaking in French, that it's been a while since he last made a video because the strange activity had quieted down, but recently he's been finding drawers open around the house, and tonight was no different. He already found one open when he walked in, closed it himself, and then stood in the kitchen asking out loud, directly addressing whatever might be there, who it was and what it wanted. Then he asked, plainly and quietly, if he could have a response. Watch.
Donc salut tout le monde, je refais une vidéo, j'en ai pas fait depuis longtemps parce que les phénomènes avaient un peu cessé entre guillemets. Bon, je retrouve quand même des tiroirs ouverts de temps en temps, comme là, voilà, je fais une vidéo parce que je viens de voir ça. J'ai entendu du bruit dans la cuisine et du coup bah je suis venu. Ok, vous êtes qui? Qu'est-ce que vous voulez? Est-ce que je peux avoir une réponse s'il vous plaît? que vous pouvez partir de chez moi? Ok, bon, je referai un live plus tard.
What unsettles a lot of viewers isn't just the movement itself, but the apparent intelligence behind it. This is what investigators sometimes describe as responsive or intelligent haunting behavior, where the activity doesn't just happen randomly, but seems to react directly to the person present. Skeptics will point to a faulty drawer runner or air pressure from an open window, but he'd already been living with this pattern long enough to know something else was going on. He ends the clip asking whatever's there to leave his home. Whether it listened is another question entirely. The following clips were captured by a man and his family at La Prisa, a public park area in what appears to be a Spanish-speaking region, on 2 separate visits to the same location, and each time, something was waiting for them. On the first night, the family had come out to the park casually, letting their daughter play on the playground set while the adults talked nearby. The kind of unremarkable evening that shouldn't leave anyone shaken. But at some point, the man filming noticed something near a lone tree by a tall street lamp out across the wide, grassy field. A small, duckish shape he couldn't quite make sense of. Watch.
No te vas a golpear la resbaladilla cuando te bajes.
¿Me bajo?
Sí.
Ah.
Mira. Espérate. Dana, ven. Vénganse para acá. Mira, a ver, miren el árbol aquel. No, yo, la neta, te lo juro que yo miraba algo. Como que se asomaba. A ver, vengan.
Ya me dio miedo.
No, es que yo miré algo, neta. No pasa nada. No, mi amor, no pasa nada, ven. No era nada, ven. ¿Qué?
Yo vi algo. ¿Qué es?
No sé, no.
Te prometo que yo vi algo. No creo que sea.
Mira, sí se miró. ¡Hey! ¿Quién está ahí? Neta, yo sí miré, alcancé a ver algo. Mira, ¿te checaste? ¿Viste?
¿Qué es eso?
A ver.
Oh,
mira.
¿Qué es eso? Ay, no.
¡Hey! ¡Lujo! ¡Asómate!
The man kept the camera zoomed in on that tree, trying to convince himself there was a rational explanation. What peeks out from behind that tree trunk is a pale, elongated face, hollow eye sockets, no other discernible features, staring directly toward the camera for several long seconds before the whole family erupts into screams and runs. The man shouts, "Brujo," as they flee, which in Latin American Spanish is used to refer to a witch or warlock, not a ghost, but something thought to be human in origin, a person who has crossed into dark practice and, according to certain regional folk beliefs, can take on unnatural forms or appear in places they shouldn't be. That distinction matters because a brujo isn't just a spirit lingering somewhere. It implies intent and the idea that whatever they saw chose to show itself. Skeptics argue the figure could be a person in a mask crouching behind the tree, which would explain the slow, deliberate emergence. But the face itself, pale, featureless, except for those dark hollows, doesn't quite match the shape of any mask most viewers could identify. And the genuine terror across that family, including the children, is difficult to fake at that scale. That changed everything about how they saw the park. They came back. On their second visit, the man returned with his wife and filmed from an elevated position above the park, telling the camera they'd decided not to go down this time, not after what happened before, but they still wanted to document what was there. The park appeared completely empty, no other people, just the equipment, the streetlights, and the dark. Watch.
Ay, pero se prendió. Pero miren, chequen nomás. Estamos solos, no hay nadie aquí en la presa. Aquí vinimos de nuevo para checar otra vez lo del mentado árbol que habíamos, de susodicho árbol, no, pero pues la neta, esta vez la verdad no quisimos bajar, ni quisimos, miren, aquí estamos yo y mi esposa, y pues la neta esta vez no quisimos bajar, por precaución, porque no sabemos qué es lo que puede haber ahí. Entonces mejor nos quedamos aquí, pero ahí se mira donde está solo. Mira, ahí están los juegos, donde está nada prácticamente. Ay, no mames. Mira. No me jodas. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes, miren. No, vámonos mejor. Vámonos. No, esto no está bien. Vámonos. Aquí definitivamente sí hay algo. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes. Y mira, y nomás ese aparato es el que está. Nomás ese aparato es el que se está moviendo. No, sí está cañón. Vámonos mejor. No, vámonos ya. Bueno, nos vemos. Aquí ya mejor ya. Hay que dejarlos a gusto a los fantasmitas que estén haciendo ejercicio. Bueno, vámonos mejor. No está, vámonos. Bye.
Multiple pieces of outdoor exercise equipment are moving on their own, back and forth, in the rhythm of people mid-workout. Ellipticals, a leg press, and then one machine in particular, a standing waist twister, begins moving with much greater intensity than the others, twisting steadily while everything else slows down, as though something has decided to focus its attention on that one spot. The man's wife quietly says, "Vámonos, let's go," and he agrees almost immediately. Before leaving, he jokes darkly that they should let the little ghosts finish their exercise in peace, which is either a coping mechanism or the only framework he had left for what he was seeing. Some viewers think the equipment was wind-driven, though the machines are designed with resistance mechanisms that require sustained force to operate, which makes natural movement harder to explain. Others believe that whatever they encountered near that tree on the first night hadn't left, that it was still there, unseen, going through the motions of being alive. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. 2 visits, 2 sets of footage from the same location, and whatever it is still hasn't shown its face again. At least not yet. What do you think they actually saw?